All right, here we go. So I thought about doing this a couple different ways, but as promised, I'll do a rig rundown. And I took all the questions that were submitted. There's quite a few. So I'll answer each one individually, but first I'll just do a quick little rundown. So to begin with, I'm recording this live. The audio and the video are being recorded together. I'm using this mic right here. It's going into that mixer, and then I'll go over the routings, but then it's going into this, and then from here it comes out into the phone that's strapped onto my forehead. Okay, so let's begin. Quite a bit of gear, I know. It didn't begin that way. I started doing this about 5 years ago. Before that, I was playing drums. That's my first instrument. Then I moved to guitars. That was my, secondary. And then I started getting into synth, drum machines, and electronic music. So, okay, we're going to go from left, or my left, I guess your left too, and then all the way. So starting from top down and top down. So starting on top, there is a Pro 1 clone by Behringer. It's not a identical clone. I've never played the original, so I don't really know what I'm missing out on. Behind that is a MIDI through box, so I'll go over MIDI later. So moving below is the Korg MS-20 in white. I use these two together. Usually they're all on the same MIDI channel. I pan one left, one right. Great monosynth, really cool to process audio through it. Yeah, it's been around since the 70s. Next to that is the Electron Digitac from Sweden. So I basically just use it for a drum machine. It can control other stuff because it has MIDI tracks as well as audio tracks. Or I have this second to last in the chain, so I'll talk about audio later and how it's routed. So above that is a Roland Rompler Sound Canvas SC88 Pro. It's pretty unique in that I guess you could call it multi-timbral because it has 16 individual channels. It is not, can't like multi-track it out. It just has 2 stereo channels left and right out via RCA. So it's a little bit noisy, but it's still a little fun piece of gear. This is how I record everything. It takes all of the audio, which I'll go over the routing. And then in the back it has USB that goes straight to the phone. So Korg Volca keys. So I started off on the Volcas to begin with. And they're great. They're compact. They're pretty beefy in sound. Probably the best thing I could recommend as far as if you're just starting getting into electronic music and stuff like that. So this is the keys. It's paraphonic, 3-note paraphony. Covers everything from bass to pretty decent chord stuff and a lot of weird stuff in between. Volca drum. I mainly use this for its hi-hats. It's a digital drum synth machine. It's stereo. It's very interesting and different. The knobs. I get questions a lot about these aftermarket knobs. I found these on Amazon. One thing to note is if you buy them and put them on, they have these little screws to tighten them down, and they will gouge the, male piece on when you stick them on. So a pro tip, you can barely see it, but there is a plastic sheath inside. Basically, I cut up a straw and threw it in there, so when you tighten it down, it doesn't gouge the knob on top. A relatively recent acquisition was this new Chase Bliss Generation Loss. So this is very last in the chain before it goes to my Go mixer. That goes straight to the phone. Mainly because if I want to it's a lo-fi pedal. It does a whole bunch of other stuff too, but the main reason why I have it last is because if I wanted to make a whole jam, everything you see here sound lo-fi, I can just do it because now it's on. So yeah, that's how that works. Moving along, the Roland Boutique. So D50 reissue, I guess, in miniature form. Not much to say about it. There's a million videos about the Roland D50. It's linear arithmetic synthesis, or LA synthesis, and this is the controller for it. So if you wanted to program patches just on the piece of hardware itself, it's pretty cumbersome, but it's possible. I don't do that. And then you can do it with this, but it does not show real-time changes. So if I'm like changing the cutoff, you can't see that I'm doing it, but you can hear that I'm doing it. So this is more of like a live tool. It's made by D-Tronics in the Netherlands. Every now and again you get a MIDI loop. It like catches, so it's not perfect, but it works good. Below that is probably one of my favorite all-around synths, and that's the clone of the Roland SH-101, so it's the 01A. It's not analog, it's a digital recreation, but it still sounds cool. And I usually use it in poly mode. All the voices share the same filters, so Moving along is the ASM Hydrasynth. It's got 8 voices of polyphony, and it's also polyphonic aftertouch. I guess my style, because it's got many keys, yes, but it also has the actual polyphonic aftertouch. No ribbon controller, but it does the job for me. So yeah. Moving along, we have the Boss RC505 looper. I mainly use it for the master clock. I usually send drum loops. I loop them from DAW, chop them up and put them in here. Is also kind of a summing station for audio, but also the master start and stop. This is usually when I play DAWless, this is where the master clock starts. I'm basically using it for drum stuff, so I can fade it in and out and use its onboard effects. So I'll give you a short little example. Right now I have some drum and bass. It's like at 170, so here we go. So yeah, essentially, that's how I have it, because all of the KeyStep Pros take care of the MIDI sequencing for all of the hardware, but if I run out of MIDI tracks for whatever reason, I can record the audio and then loop it this way. So, okay, so dropping down is the Arturia Microfreak. I've had it for a while. I really like it's paraphonic, but it has essentially polyphonic aftertouch in a way. The way you play it has a really unique key bed. The KeyStep Pros they can respond to channel aftertouch, so you can use the aftertouch, so to speak, which I often do, but I usually use this for leads. It's a beast. It is digital like the Hydrasynth, but if you just tweak it a little bit and EQ it a little bit, it sounds pretty awesome. I get asked this a lot. Why 2 KeyStep Pros? Once you kind of get to a point where you have, things kind of dedicated to certain jobs when you're making music, you kind of want to keep them that way just because they're your favorite and your go-tos. But for me, it's kind of the same way. And I got the first one, I bought it brand new years ago, and I bought a second one used. I had the opportunity to get it at a decent price for about half of what they sell brand new, so I jumped on it. So each track, as you can see, is dedicated to a synth. So the Hydra, the sound canvas, the DO5, and then this is drums from the Soundcraft, the MS-20 and the Pro One share channel 1. I got the fuzz going, but the SH-01A, Volca keys, and then the Microfreak. And it's just really cool to have two, really, if you have the room and the ability to acquire them. Okay, so let's get to the mixers on the bottom row. This was my first and main mixer that I had. The main reason why I got it is because it had insert points. This one does not have insert points. It's 8 line in or mic in and 2 stereo. It's got Lexicon onboard effects. And then I use most of these pedals over here as an effects loop / send. So yeah, I pan the MS-20 left and right, Microfreak the Volca, and then the Soundcraft is stereo panned left and right. Now I could have put the sound canvas on the stereo channel, but I like to hard pan them. And then also the stereo channels don't have insert points, so I can have 2 separate insert effects on left and right channels. So really cool mixer. And then so the effects loop starts right here, it comes out, goes into the Tube Screamer, into the tremolo, into the Canyon, jumps to the zoom pedal. I use that as an auto panner. This is a Tube Screamer, straightforward. This is tremolo. This is a delay. Then from here it goes to the reverb. These 2 guys are going via inserts. So this Super Fuzz is going to the MS-20, and the Hydra is going to the left channel on the sound canvas. And then from there, the 2-channel mix comes out and then goes into the first 2 channels on this mixer. So this mixer is special because it is essentially a interface for your DAW if you want it. So it's a multi-track. So each individual track can be recorded via USB. So the left and right, this is a send that I'm doing with the Mogafoger delay. So you can use it within a fader and I have it. This is my voice right here. This is blank channel right now. The SH01, the D05, the Volca and the Hydra. This also has its own onboard effects. So I got a spring reverb, and then so I can send the Moger Foger delay, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I kind of use it like dub style. But yeah, that's essentially how it all works. And from there, the two main XLRs go to my monitors, which are right here, one here, and one over there. And then an auxiliary group comes out and then goes from there to the looper. And the reason why I do that is so I can loop anything over here, which I sometimes do if I run out of, or if I want to have, the Volca keys playing something MIDI and looping it and then tweaking it, but I also wanted to do like a lead sound loop, then I can loop it right there. Only catch is you have to be really careful when you loop, because you can't have anything else playing in the background, because it'll loop that too, because all the audio goes straight to that. So from there, the audio travels to the Digitakt. Why do I do that? So this has an onboard compressor that's really good. So from there, the two channels go out and then go into the generation and loss, so I can make everything lo-fi. From there, it goes in here from it's a TRS, so left and right out, and then a TRS mini jack. Then from there, it goes to the phone. And that's pretty much the audio routing. So that was audio and video. So now I'll try and address each individual question. Now, some of it's going to be some overlap that I've already kind of addressed, but we'll do it anyway. So here we go.